Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Monday Lunchtime Digest. My name is Hayley, and I'm with the Oklahoma Counseling Institute, and as always, we have a lot to talk about today. So first, I want to dive into news and research. There has been emerging research out of the University of Vienna that is suggesting that we might want to start looking at willpower and ego depletion in a different way. And so, as many of you might know, Mike and I are really big fans of Dr. Roy Baumeister's work on studying willpower and studying ego depletion and motivation. And so, what Dr. Baumeister's research and other research has suggested is that willpower is kind of like a battery. Once you use it and it's drained, then you have less of it. And so that's why it is, more difficult to say no to sweet treats and snacks at the end of the day because, according to his research, all day long we've been making decisions, we've been going to work, we've been using our brain, we've been keeping ourselves in line, if you will. And so, being that we've had to use so much willpower throughout the day to get through work, to accomplish our tasks, accomplish our chores, then by the end of the day, we're completely zapped on willpower. And so, it is more likely that we, say yes to dessert or extra cookies and say no to exercising and things like that. However, there has been research over the past couple of decades that has called into question if that theory of ego depletion really is universal. And so, in fact, there have been studies that have found that other cultures might have a different outlook on willpower and ego depletion. And there was some research from the University of Vienna that was published about 10 years ago or so that looked more into how our belief systems might affect our willpower. And so what they did was they gave a list of participants, a group of participants, a questionnaire on willpower. And so there were really two different types of questions. One type of question was such as when situations accumulate that challenge you with temptations, it gets more difficult to resist temptations, and strenuous mental activity exhausts your resources, which you need to refuel afterwards. So those questions really ask folks, after you've done a lot of mentally strenuous things, are you more likely to feel depleted? The second group of questions asked things like, if you have just resisted strong temptation, you feel strengthened and can withstand new temptations. And your mental stimulus fuels itself. Even after strenuous mental exertion, you can still continue to do more of it. So the second set of questions ask folks, whenever you do any kind of mentally strenuous work, do you feel more empowered to do more of it afterwards? And so what they found was that the folks who said yes to the first two, who said that, yes, whenever I do mentally strenuous activities, it tends to drain me, that those folks had less willpower, less motivation, and less cognitive clarity after tasks, after being put through a series of mentally strenuous tasks. However, those who said, whenever I resist strong temptation, I feel more strengthened, and strenuous activity fuels me, it makes me want to do more of it, those folks were actually less likely to have willpower depletion, as well as had increased mental focus and productivity the next day. And so what the researchers have done is they've separated these folks into the group of limited willpower as well as a group of non-limited willpower. So those with limited willpower were those who are more likely to say yes to those first two questions, more likely to feel drained after doing a lot of tasks. And those with non-limited willpower are less likely to feel mentally drained after tasks and actually are more likely to feel empowered to do more tasks after they do mentally strenuous things. And further research has found that, there are a lot of cultural differences in this belief system. So what they found is that college students from India are more likely to have that non-limited view of tasks, whereas students from the United States are more likely to have that limited view. And so it's really fascinating because I know that whenever I was in graduate school or even in undergrad, we learned about Dr. Baumeister's study, and we learned this premise that, hey, willpower is it's something that can be depleted. You make too many decisions, you're not going to be able to focus hard the next day. But what the research and more research is finding is that it's not necessarily how much work that you're doing that's depleting you, is how you view that work. And so if you have this belief that the more work, the more strenuous activity that I do, I'm going to feel more depleted at the end of the day, then you're more likely to feel that way. And if you're more likely to think, hey, the more I do, the more productive I feel, then the less likely you are to have that decrease in willpower at the end of the day. And so there is early evidence to suggest that we're not stuck in these ways. Maybe right now, if I feel like I'm limited in my willpower, then it's going to be harder for me to, muster up the strength to exercise in the day or say no to those cookies. But what the emerging research is finding is that cognitive refocusing or focusing on times whenever you did have really strong willpower, if we focus on those things, we're more likely to increase our willpower in the moment. Now, the research is limited. We don't know if we can necessarily change those ways that our body and our brain views willpower long term, but at least in the moment, if you feel like typically at the end of the day you have less willpower, and instead you focus on the times whenever you were able to have a lot of willpower, were able to accomplish goals, then you are more likely to be able to have stronger willpower in that moment to accomplish whatever task there is at hand. And so, very fascinating research. It talks a lot. This BBC article that I'm referencing explores many, many other research and studies that were done to explore this idea. We'll be posting this on social media later this afternoon, but the BBC article is called "The Mindset That Brings Unlimited Willpower." Now, I'm not sure if it necessarily brings unlimited. That seems very clickbait, but it does seem that we can do some cognitive restructuring with ourselves to possibly increase that feeling of willpower. So, very interesting article. And so that's what's going on in the world of research today. Let's talk about what's going on in the world of the Oklahoma Counseling Institute. And so, first of all, we have over 80 on-demand CE courses and approximately 240 hours of board-approved CEs in our catalog right now. So as of this week, I've added 2 more courses. I'll be adding 2 more at the end of this week. And so I think it should be pushing us close to 90 courses here in the next couple of weeks or so. And so if you are needing some CEUs, if you are needing to get a head start on license renewal, you can go to counselinginstitute.org to sign up for those today. And so also coming up with the Oklahoma Counseling Institute, we have our annual legislative town hall. And so our legislative town hall is a time for representatives from mental health organizations to get together to talk about upcoming legislation that mental health therapists and those who work in mental health should be paying attention to. And so this year, I'm very happy to say we have representation from 7 different organizations. I believe we're up to 9 panelists so far. And so we have a lot of folks representing many different areas of mental health from the, of course, Oklahoma Counseling Institute, Oklahoma Counseling Association, Oklahoma Marriage and Family Therapists. We'll have representation from the Oklahoma Psychiatric Physicians Association and the Case Management Society of America Oklahoma chapter, and many, many more. And so please, if you'd like to join us, go to counselinginstitute.org today. You can register. Registration is free for everyone. And so we want everyone to be able to sit in on this legislative town hall, be able to ask some questions. If you'd like, we'll have the chat open so folks will be able to ask some questions directly to folks who are panelists. We will have a recorded version available later on, but for now, go to counselinginstitute.org today to join us live. Our live town hall will happen next Wednesday, February 4th from noon to 1 via Zoom. And so again, go to counselinginstitute.org today to register. I know I'm very excited for that. The Legislative Town Hall is one of my favorite events of the year. I feel like even though I helped put together the agenda, I come away with a lot of new information, new perspective on our bills and how to advocate for us in mental health. So again, February 4th, next Wednesday from noon to 1 via Zoom. Go to counselinginstitute.org today to register. And so that's what's going on in the world of the Oklahoma Counseling Institute. Let's talk for a minute about Edmond Counseling Professional Development. And so Edmond Counseling Professional Development, we have multiple free, I guess live too, free support groups. And so you can go to edmondcounseling.com to learn more, but just a few that we have going on. So first of all, we have Smart Recovery. So Smart Recovery, we're the longest running SMART group in Oklahoma. You can go to smartedmond.com to learn more. Smart Recovery is a non-12-step substance abuse and addiction support group that is clinician-led, and that'll be Thursday nights. We also have Smart Friends and Family, and that is a Smart's answer to Al-Anon, and that will be on Wednesday nights. And all of these are in person or online. Then on Tuesday nights, we have our chronic pain support groups. This is run by Amanda Beck. It is in person or online. You can go to edmondcounseling.com/pain to learn more about that. And starting this week, we'll also have our divorce and long-term relationship endings support group. So this is a group for folks who are either going through a divorce or have just lost a long-term relationship of some sort. And it is a support group that is run by Sarah McFadden, and that is going to be on Thursday nights. And so if anyone would like to join our support groups, again, they're free, they're in person or online. You do not have to be a client of Edmond Counseling to join, but you can go to edmondcounseling.com to learn more, or send us an email, shoot us a text, hello@edmondcounseling.com or 405-440-3034 to find out more information or to register. So there's no intake process they have to go through. Of course, there's just the confidentiality forms that folks have to sign before they join any kind of support group. But again, go to edmondcounseling.com to learn more, or send us an email, shoot us a text if you'd like to be connected. We also have folks who have openings right now. So if you have a client who has loved ones, or if you need someone to refer our direction or refer outside of your agency, you can go to edmondcounseling.com. We have openings for in-person and online sessions. And so one more thing that I forgot to mention, we are only about, let's see here, wow, 3.5 months away from the Summer Super Summit. So this year's Summer Super Summit will be May 6th, 7th, and 8th. It will be a 3-day conference. We're going to have the main conference on Thursday and Friday, May 7th and 8th. We're going to have a pre-conference on May 6th. But folks, if you join the entire conference, we join May 6th, 7th, and 8th, you'll have the opportunity to earn all 20 hours of continuing education that you'll need for the year. We'll have the opportunity to earn up to 12 hours of addictions counseling specific, up to 6 hours of ethics, up to 3 hours of supervision. We'll have strength-based, and we'll have much, much more. And so you can go to counselinginstitute.org today to register and to learn more. We have all of our speakers contracted, and we have all of our lineup set. We'll be dropping those names here in the next few days. But again, go to counselinginstitute.org to go ahead and register today. And so if you have any questions about anything that we've talked about related to Edmond Counseling or the Oklahoma Counseling Institute, please go to hello@edmondcounseling.com or shoot us a text 405-440-3034. We'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. And so that being said, if you are the winner this week, I need you to send me an email, shoot me a text, let me know what course you'd like. And our winner this week is Stephen Resendez, my buddy Stephen. So Stephen, send us a text, shoot us an email, tell us what course you'd like from the Oklahoma Counseling Institute catalog. And if you'd like to be like Stephen, you'd like to have the opportunity to get free CEUs, you can do one of three or all three things. You can like this post, you can share this post, or you can answer today's question. Every time you do one of those three things, not only do you help us grow, help us be seen by others, we also get entered into the drawing for next week's prize. And so that being said, our question for this week is, how did you spend your snow days this weekend? And so I know a lot of us were snowed in this weekend. A lot of us still are snowed in. I know there's about 6 inches of snow in my driveway. I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. And so tell us, what did you do for your snow day? For me, my spouse and I watched a few of the Oscar-nominated movies, and I finished reading a book. So very quiet snow day, cuddled up on the couch with my pets, and just had a relaxing, warm weekend. Very grateful for that. So tell us, what did you do for your snow day weekend? And again, every time you like this post, share this post, or comment your answer to today's question, not only do you help us grow, help us be seen by others, but you also get entered into the drawing for next week's prize. And so thank you all so much for watching this week. We appreciate your support immensely, and we hope to see you again next week. You all stay warm and take care.